All right, so we are walking towards the main entrance right now, and we're gonna meet up with Hannah here. See her? Hi. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another vlog. We are here in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, back at Parx Casino. Looking forward to another night of playing some live poker. Last I checked, there were 18 games going, so I don't know how many games are going right now, but Parx always has a lot of action, so it should be a good night. I'm gonna summon my inner Ryan DePaulo here and degen a little bit in the slots before we go into the poker room. Wait, is this? Oh my God, we doubled our money. I literally have never won in slots, I feel like. I might just stop with this $36 profit. Stop or go? What would you do?
What would Ryan do?
What would Ryan do? All right, I'm gonna click 3 more times, lucky 3.
Oh, ooh, what did you hit?
Back up to 50. This feels like a sign. I got up to 56, we went down, and back to 56 again. I feel like I want to come out on top. I'm booking a win. I'm booking a win. Look. Okay, so one of the very first hands that we end up playing is King Jack offsuit. So I end up raising here to 15 bucks over 1 limp. There's a call behind. The blinds end up calling, and then the limper as well ends up calling. And then the flop comes King 9-3, and then it will check to me. And then of course we have top pair, multi-way, there's draws out there. We're just betting here all the time, so it's just a matter of how much. And in this hand here, I chose to bet 40 bucks, and I think 40 is fine, honestly, for the way people are calling. I really think at this point in my live poker vlogging that I should be betting bigger than 40 bucks here. I think I should be betting. I don't think I'm losing anyone that is going to call if I bet like 50 or even 60 here. So I think I like a little bit bigger here. But we did bet 40. And we just end up taking down this pot. So nice to start off stacking chips here early. And then the next notable hand that we get is pocket jacks here. I raise it up to 15 bucks. You can see this gentleman here makes the call. And then we are going to get 2 more callers. And then the flop is going to come out here, 7-7-4 rainbow. And interestingly, the early position player here leads out for 20 bucks on this board, which this might be a board that people can actually lead on, and I think that will make some sense. But I do something a little bit janky here because I really am not expecting like a lot of high level theory based play, and I kind of like feel a raise. I make it 40 here. I think a lot of the time if they just call, they're going to check to me on the turn, and then I can continue to fire at my price. And if I bet turn and they check raise, it's like, okay, they got a 7. But the player who let out for 20 called my 40. The turn is pretty much a blank. They checked me. And then I put out a bet of 65 here, which really wasn't that big of a bet into this pot. I want to be able to get their smaller pairs and I guess their draws to call. Considering the draws, maybe you want to bet bigger, but we end up taking that pot down, so that is good. And then I remember leading up to this 10-6 suited hand that I raised to 15 that I think I was actually starting to play a little subpar, maybe get a little bit bored. I was folding a bit. Felt like it was, good folding instead of starting to get splashy. But anyway, we make this sassy raise over a limp. The player to our left calls, and then the big blind calls. And the limper actually ends up folding here, which was surprising. All right, so we go to the flop here. The flop is King Jack 9. So we have a gut shot here, no backdoor flush draw or anything. The guy up front was holding his chips here, which is an interesting live read thing. I think that means they want to see checks. With the gut shot here multi-way, I did decide to check. And the turn comes a 2 of diamonds. And then it checks to me, and I decide to start betting here. If I'm going to bet the river as a bluff, I think I need to start betting here as well. I bet 20 bucks. The guy to my left, you could see snap calls. I'm like, geez. Weirdly, I didn't notice at the time, which is my fault. He's only got 15 bucks behind here. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what on earth does this mean? And then it's like, it just felt like, man, if I bet here, it's such a spewy bet. There's no way this guy's folding, so I check. And then, sadly, he snap checks. I have 10 high, and this guy's got queen high. Had a better gut shot. He's got queen 5 of hearts. And this is just what I get for getting sassy and opening this 10-6 suit here, playing the hand. It's just like, ugh, what am I doing, man? Oh, and this is interesting here now. We have a massive situation coming up. We have Jack 10 off, so this hand is going to be a funny one. But we make it 15 bucks, and then the two players to the left, you can see snap call, especially the guy to my immediate left. And then we end up getting some more calls, and we go 6 to the flop. The only person that wasn't in this pot was the guy to my immediate right. Of course, we're sitting 7-handed nowadays with the plexiglass and everything. But the flop ends up coming 8-7-6 rainbow. So we have a gut shot, and things start to get interesting. This person in early position, again, leads for 20. Donk leads for 20, which was a common thing that they were doing, I noticed up to this point. We have a draw to the nuts here. They're donk leading for 20, which I think means that they have a draw, something weak, and players are just calling. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to smash a 9 on this turn. And I call the 20. This player immediately puts in the rest of their chips for 85 bucks. The next player, who is also short stacking, puts in their chips for 47 bucks. And then it gets back to the early position donk leader, and they end up calling the 85. And then I'm sitting here, and I actually take a minute, and I'm thinking, because at this point the guy in early position who had donk let out has a decent amount of chips. There's not going to be any more betting from the players on the left. Since he just called the 85, I'm like, maybe if I call, we're just going to get to see all the cards. I bank a 9. This is a big pot. I was feeling a little fishy. This might have been close-ish to after the 10-6 hand, so maybe I was playing a little bad. But eventually I do decide to fold here. And then we have an interesting situation. Guy to my left, you can see, has 10-9 of hearts, so we flopped the nuts with a backdoor flush draw. I think the player to his left really doesn't have much, pair and a draw. So he shows his 9-10. The board does pair on the river. And shows his 9-10, think he's going to win. And this guy here is holding his cards and slowly flips over 6-8. So this guy rivered a boat on the other side of the table. And the 9-10 of hearts guy was not happy. So you're gonna have to listen to this conversation.
Super. Oh wow.
Why the slow roll like that? You gotta be. Why the slow roll like that?
Benny, could you feel Benny?
Hey you, why the slow roll? Why the slow roll?
Have a good night, guys.
You're a jerk off. Leave. You're a jerk off. Leave. Leave. Because you're going to do that to the wrong guy one day. You know that.
Oh, yeah, what's going to happen?
I can't say it. I'll get thrown out of here.
Oh, well, say it.
I can't say it.
A little bigger than you, man.
Yeah, but you're...
I'm afraid.
Attention players going brand new 5-5 skill location. Center of the room, first 7 names only. JB7, BD, Margaret, KC, Combat, and MJ.
I'm gonna say this is the first time that I've ever been at a table when this type of conversation is like happening, and these were two older gentlemen, I would say in their 50s or 60s, and they just end up going back and forth here. The 9-10 of hearts guy is not happy. He for sure feels like he got slow rolled, and he might have got slow rolled a little bit from this other player. I'm just like, is this actually happening right now? I was like, I'm so happy that I'm able to just capture this. But in the middle of them going back and forth here, I get 5-8 of spades, and I'm like, it feels like, you know, like 30% of this table, 40% of this table is not paying attention right now because they're listening to this back and forth. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna loose it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna open the 5-8 suited here and try to see what happens. So here we have ace, queen offsuit.
The turn was a 9 to pair the board.
There are 2 limps. I make it 20 bucks.
What did he say?
Surprisingly,
Yeah.
guy on the button folds.
I'm saying after the flop, I was ahead of him. So he caught me on the turn.
We are going to get another fold, and then we are going to go 3 to the flop. It's going to be myself, the small blind, and a limper. And the flop ends up coming out 9-6-7 with 2 diamonds. Now we have the backdoor nut flush draw. We have 2 overs. Also a backdoor straight draw. Oh wait, no, we don't have a backdoor straight draw. Gotcha. Turn is a king. We checked around on the flop. And then I decided to start betting here. They could definitely have a 6 or a 7 or a draw here. So there's another spot where I think if I'm going to win this pot, I got to start betting this turn. King looks like a card that I would check flop with. We do get called. We go heads up to the river. And the river is an 8 of diamonds, so they don't have the nut flush. They could have a lot of pairs. And this player checks to me. We're heads up. I'm in position. And I give this little look, just like make sure I have the straight or the flush. And it's just a spot where I think if I check here with ace queen high, I'm just going to end up losing to some booty 6 or 7. So I know I have to bluff here. The question is how much. And I decide on $100 into the $124 pot. And the player in this hand, he takes a minute. He huffs and puffs. He definitely has a pair. He definitely has a pair here. And then he will eventually fold and say nice bluff. And I'm like, thank you. No, but it was nice to take down this pot here. And then this next hand we have, I actually wasn't recording at the start of it. I didn't catch this until the river, and I knew I had to throw my phone on quick. So the way this hand went down that got us to the river here was the late position player who's doing a lot of donking bet $15 into a $15 pot. The button made it $35. I ended up calling, thinking the initial player was going to call too. We bank a jack. We have the nuts. It's going to be amazing. The other guy ends up folding. The turn came in 8. I checked. Button made it 55. I made it 165 and he called. And then we got down to the river, and the river was a blank 3. And at this point, I think that this guy, when he calls my check raise on the turn, has a massive hand. And I have less than pot, so I decided to jam it all in. I'm like, he's got to call. He's got a big hand. And he thinks for a long time before he ends up folding. And after he folded, later on, he would say that he had 2 pair. And I totally believe him. But sadly, ended up folding there when we have the stone nuts. But we do pick up a nice pot.
Close.
And then we get ace jack here. We raise it up to 25 over a limp. We get 2 calls. And then pretty nice flop, jack 7-4. Gonna continue betting.
Check. Check.
And it looks like we bet out 40 bucks. We did bet out 40 bucks again. So again, I think I would like to see a bigger bet sizing here, but we did go with 40 into the 75. Of course, they think for a second. They're like, I don't know. And then we get 1 caller. We go to the turn with 155 in the pot. And we're just going to, on a 9 of spades here, we're just going to continue to bet. It's just a question of how much we're going to bet at this point. And we think for a bit, and we end up betting. In the amount of 120. So we bet 120 bucks here, which I like this bet size. There are now some more draws out there. They have like a jack 8, jack 10, 9, 10, 9, 8. All these hands are just not folding, so we can charge them for it. So we put out the 120 bucks, hoping to get called, praying we don't get raised. And then after a little bit of deliberation, the remaining player in this hand does end up finding a fold, and we ship this pot. And at this point, it's starting to get later into our session. It's pretty early morning here. But we're kind of starting to catch a little bit of heat after a very slow middle part of our session. And then before we can even stack up our chips, we look down at ace king offsuit here, and we raise it up to 20 bucks. And then fairly quickly, you can see the player to our left raises it to 60. They were not playing for the max. They were short stacking this table, so I think they maybe had like 200-ish total at the start of this hand, right in that range. We have ace king. We got a pile of chips in front of us. So it doesn't take us too long before we say those magical words. I'm all in. They snap call, and I'm like, oh geez, I don't know if that's good, but let's hope we run well here with our ace king. And then the board runs out all clubs. And actually, I didn't know that I had the ace of clubs until I looked at my ace king again. And we saw that they had ace king, so it was an unlucky run out for them. We free rolled them with the ace of clubs. We pick up a nice hand, and then at this point, we already knew we were getting towards the end of our time. So this seemed like a pretty good hand to end the session on. Great session. We really rallied at the end there. We got a nice little castle building. So, feel good session. Definitely in the profit for this one. And yeah, what more can you ask for? Another great time here at Parx. Love this poker room. All right, so we are back at our spot now, and I had a chance to take a look at how the night went, and we bought in for 1,000 in chips, and we ended up cashing out $14.70. So it was a profitable night, which is great. We played for, I think, about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. What are you doing? Don't lie. You're messing up my ending here.
You're making me nervous. Stop. Now I lost my train of thought.
Everybody, thanks for making it to the end of my video. No one does that, do they? All right, look, I respond to comments, so please leave a comment below the description and let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, check out some of my last videos here. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button here. All right, my name is Drew. Peace out. Catch up with you later.